everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's been quite a minute since I've recorded here. It was because of technical problems. I will leave it there. So today I just want to appreciate that you have been so patient to wait for me to come back to your screens. And so I come back with a bang. I want to talk about something that is so important to me and something that I feel will add value to your life. But I also just want to talk about the book that I have been reading, or that I read in July. This was my July read. I never stopped the book a month challenge. I have been reading a book each month, even though I wasn't recording it. And so this book, I love it because it just revived a new hunger for souls in my spirit, a hunger for winning souls for the Lord. And so if you're a Christian, you know what I'm talking about. And this is something that is the Great Commission. Is the work, is the greatest assignment. It was the biggest assignment that we have from God once you become a Christian. So I felt it was important, it was necessary, because I have found myself so many times not feeling zealous to go out there and win souls. I would find that I get so self-absorbed. I just think about my own life, my own dreams and pursuits, and I'm not really thinking about people out there that I need to reach out to. So this book really got me to think and repent. So this is now how I'm going to do it. I want to do a series of videos where I'm going to be talking about salvation, things centering around salvation, but we'll make it interesting, don't worry. And so the target viewers for this series is both people who are not believers and people who are believers, because I'm going to be talking about what are the things that actually prevent people who are non-believers from coming to God, and what is it that maybe annoys them about us as Christians who come to them, nagging them or prompting them to come to the Lord. What is it that annoys them, and is it something that we must stop and change our approach to get them to see things in a different light, or it's just something that we can't avoid? Maybe they just need to take it as we give it to them, and one day they'll be able to see the light. I also just want to talk about things like our salvation stories. In fact, I started I don't know what to call it, a project called Salvation Stories, and so this is where we're going to be compiling a couple of stories from people who talk about their salvation stories and make it into one video as creatively as possible. I'm super excited about that. This is the first video I'm doing for YouTube where I'm going to be talking a little bit about my salvation, my own salvation story. So here goes. I hope you're still tuned in and I have not bored you to death. So my salvation story, this is how I got saved. This is how I met the Lord. So what had happened was, see, my sister, or rather my family was, we are a Roman Catholic family generally. So I grew up in a Roman Catholic church, and so my sister was also there. And I remember we were just chilled, like, you'd go to church, come back, and that was it. And so I remember when we were growing up, she gave me this Bible. I think they were given at school when they were doing religious education studies. So she gave me this Bible and it had pictures in it. I was excited because I loved the pictures in the Bible. I felt, wow, I can relate because of the pictures, right? I was still doing my primary school. So I was using this Bible for some time. Then all of a sudden one day my sister asked for the Bible back, and I'm like, okay, girl, what you doing? She's older than me by like 6 years. So I'm like, why are you taking my Bible back? So I guess this was the time something shifted in her life. All of a sudden I see this lady, she's changing, she's spending time in her room, she is praying out loud. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like watching MTV, okay? Like, this is noise. And I would close the passage door because I felt like it was just noisy for me. But even while I would close the door, even while I would watch MTV and what is that? Oh, Channel O, for y'all who know DSTV from back then in Africa. I don't know about other countries, other continents. So what would happen was I would feel this pang in my heart, or this desire, or like guilt maybe, like, oh my gosh, she's doing something, like she's praying, that's a good thing, but I'm here feeling offended, yet I'm a Christian. What does that mean? What could that mean? So I would just watch TV and stuff. And you know, this lady, she was not shy about it. She would clap her hands out loud. We'd be like in the sitting room sometimes in the evenings with my parents, and then she's like in her room, the door is closed, she's like, we hear things banging on the ground and like clapping and just like praying. I'm like, yo, what happened to this lady? So fast forward a couple of months later on, you know, I just really begin to see a big change in her life. And remember, we're still going to the Roman Catholic Church, but she has changed. Like, the game has changed altogether. And I found out that she was actually attending what they call the Charismatic Movement in the Roman Catholic Church. And this is where this movement was quite similar to what you have in the Pentecostal churches, where there's praying in tongues, deliverance, healing, you know, this, you know, kind of like approach, like this very active approach to prayer and the services and worship. Which was quite contrasted to the Roman Catholic Church services. You know, those would be the quieter ones, they're just more chilled and calm, you know. It was so crazy because some people in the Roman Catholic Church actually felt these guys were kind of crazy, you know. So I also did feel like, what is this? What has gone over this lady? She's so different now. So of course I felt envy. Like, she had a friend who would come visit her. So this friend would come in the evenings, like 5 p.m. or so, and they would be in their room and they're crying. And I'm like, Kante, what's going on? When you're praying, you cry. And I would feel so awkward. Like, I would get in the room, I wouldn't be sure whether I should get inside or stay outside, but I would need something in the room. I wouldn't know whether I should talk or not, because they'll be like, maybe like just bowing down and just like crying. You know how sometimes you just cry because you're overwhelmed with the presence of God, and it's not that you're crying because you're sad, but you're crying because there's just so much joy and you're just overwhelmed. You don't even know how to explain it. So it was just really awkward for me. So awkward. So just the time went on and on and on, but something was happening. Each time I saw something that was queer and awkward and different, it was like a seed in my spirit. It was something was happening. God was slowly, you know, turning my heart to Him. One day, they said they were going to a revival. I decided I'm going with them. So when we got to the revival, people started falling, and I enjoyed that. Like, I was like, it scared me, but it terrified me, and I loved it at the same time. Like, people are falling. People are falling. There's prayer and people are falling. I'm like, I want to fall too. All in all, I was just feeling this enjoyment in that environment. There was something so different. The presence of God. I didn't know it was the presence of God. I just knew that I felt different. It was different. After the church service, there was this man, the pastor, who had been preaching in that service. He was called Pastor David Eni. Oh no, Pastor David Grace now. Pastor David Grace. And he was a friend to my sister and her friend. They told him about me, and they just said, oh, this is my sister, the introductions. And then he said to me, oh my God, he said, do you want the touch of Jesus? And at that moment, I hesitated because I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what my yes would mean and would result into. And in my mind, I just thought, if I say yes, I'm just gonna fall down immediately. And I was scared. I wanted to fall down, but I was also scared of it because I didn't know what caused you to fall and how it feels like. So he said, do you want the touch of Jesus? And I said, yes. And then he said, why did you hesitate? Why did you pause? But then, you know, he prayed for me. He just prayed for me because this was the time that I was about to write my Form 5 exams. I really don't remember much of his prayer. I just know he included my exams inside. He just prayed for me, right? Nothing happened physically, outwardly, nothing happened. I didn't even pray the salvation prayer or anything like that. But I left that place feeling changed, such that when I got home, I made this determination, not even a vow, not a promise or anything like that, but it was like, Lord, I'm committing myself, like I am promising myself, like I was scared of making a vow to God or anything like that. I was like, I'm committing to not watching music channels anymore because they don't serve me, they're not adding value to my life. And so I literally stopped. That day I stopped watching MTV, I stopped watching Channel O, you know, VHL, was it VHL? I stopped. Like I stopped. And that was like such a huge change for me, because I was like this girl who was into, you know, R&B, Beyonce. I would like be dancing along. There was a mirror in the sitting room. I would be dancing along to the songs. But what's that song? What's that song? That one where you do this, huh? It was so much fun. But yeah, so that's how deep I was into that kind of music and stuff. So I stopped, and a few days later, like maybe like a month later, after I wrote my exams, we had this prayer session. Like my sister was praying. There was a different girl, like family friend, who was there, and I was there, and I think it was just the three of us, and we were just praying, right? This is new to me. Remember, Roman Catholic, I'm not used to the whole praying out loud thing, so I'm still so novice to this. And she was praying out loud, and they're praying out loud, and I'm there, I'm like praying as well. And then I remember saying very clearly, Lord, I surrender my life to you. That was it. That sealed the deal. That was the time that I officially just gave my life to the Lord. And my life was never the same ever since. It was just beautiful. The reason I talked about my sister is because so many events, so many things that were happening caused me to come to the Lord. Like I could see that God is like vouching for this girl, like big time. He's like team Kenele. My sister's called Kenele. So one time my grandmother was over at our house at during that time, and so, you know, grandmothers, maybe like after she would take her bath, she wouldn't be able to clean the bath for herself, so we had to do it. So the general principle was that if you are the first to get in the bathroom after my grandmother bathed, you had to clean it, right? Like you don't have to take turns and tell yourself, no, today's this person's turn. You just do it. That's how we were doing it. So the bathroom was also, there was a toilet in the bathroom. So that means if you want to use the toilet, you have to use the same room. So it so happened that my grandmother had just finished bathing, and so I needed to do number 2, you know. So I decided to go inside, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to clean the bath. I don't want to clean it. So what I did was I then decided to go use my parents' bathroom, so that I don't have to clean the bath, right? So then I went to my parents' bathroom and just thought I was being wise, you know, and so I did number 2 there. And guess what? Number 2 didn't go. I flushed, number 2 didn't go. I flushed the second time, the third time, number 2 would not go. I'm like, what? This was around maybe like my 11 a.m. or so. Number 2 refused. I tried again in the afternoon, number 2 refused. Guys, what do you call that? Now, my parents came back from work in the evening, and number 2 only went after my parents saw that I had done number 2 there. Like just after they arrived, when we flushed, number 2 went. Guys, what do you call that? What do you call that? That is like the power of God. It can only be the power of God. And God was doing something with all these things that were happening. He was doing something. My sister would hang her clothes outside, you know, overnight. We were scared of doing that because of theft, but she would leave her clothes on the clothesline. Like, I was like, this woman is confident of her God. And I just got so attracted to God through that. And there's so many things that happened, there's so many things. I remember she would say things like, I don't love Coke more than Jesus, because there's a time my mom was telling her, you love Coke too much, and she was like, well, I don't love it more than Jesus. I'm like, what manner of relationship with God is this? Yo, she was just different. She was just doing things differently. And I remember this other time she came home and she was saying that she was full. Like, we had dished up for her. They had these charismatic meetings at like from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. So I've already explained that these charismatic meetings would be like the prayer sessions where there's so much activity, Holy Spirit working and all of that. So she one time came back home and she didn't eat her food, and we're like, why aren't you eating? We dished up for you. She's like, yo, I'm full of the Spirit. I'm full. I'm like, yo, wow, girl, I want to have what you have. This was me inside, of course. I didn't say it out loud. But I was noticing, I was watching. So never undermine your life and what you do. People are watching and they're drawing encouragement from the way you're living and from the different way you're doing things. So don't ever undermine that. People are observing, they're observing. And that is how I got saved. Stay tuned for more videos and more content of people sharing their salvation stories from all over Botswana and the whole world. Super excited. See you in the next video.